Alright folks, welcome back to Liam's AP Psychology. My name is Liam Kim, also known as Shinso Kim, a junior in Korea International School, Jeju, and I'm here to talk about associative learning. Starting with associative learning, I'm here to talk about some key vocabs in AP Psychology that you must know for the upcoming AP Psychology exam. So let's start right away. Okay, so associative learning is a learning that certain events occur together. The events may be two stimuli, as in classical conditioning, or a response and its consequences as in operant conditioning. So associative learning is learning something through events that are interconnected with each other. So yeah, it's called associative learning, right? So in association with other events, you're kind of learning a new thing. Let's look at attachment. And attachment is an emotional tie with another person shown in young children by their seeking closeness to the caregiver and showing distress on separation. So attachment is when young kids attach to their parents or guardians, right? I myself, as a child, I used to have attachment to my parents. So whenever they were going to work, I didn't want them to leave. So I would cry and cry until they would finally give up and not go to work. Well, that was a case that never really happened. Actually, they actually went to work, leaving me behind. But then, as you can see, attachment is a really big thing that really stresses out parents, because your young children, they don't want you to leave, because without their parents, the young children will really have an emotional breakdown, right? Because they have a strong emotional tie with the person who is giving you care, that they don't want to be separated with the caregiver for even a brief second, right? So that's what attachment is. And I'm sure as kids, my students would have gone through a certain level of attachment as well. Okay, number 35. Attention-Deficient Hyperactivity Disorder is also known as ADHD. This is a really popular term, right? Most of students have ADHD these days. This is a really big thing that has also been an issue in our society quite a lot over the past decade. And this is a psychological disorder that is marked by the appearance by age 7 of one or more of three key symptoms: extreme inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. So if you have ADHD, you may have lots of friends who have ADHD around you, because this kind of psychological state is something that is really prevalent within our society at the current times. So those with ADHD, you may have observed that they have extreme inattention. So for example, when they're listening to some lectures in class, they would frequently do something else, right? Like just go internet surfing, or just like constantly chat with their like seating partners throughout the whole class, like in like every 1 minute, even though the teacher tells them to be quiet. So yeah, those are cases of extreme inattention, and I myself, again, I have had lots of those incidents myself. I used to constantly talk with my friends in class. Well, yeah. Although you're not supposed to, well, most kids do that, right? And frankly speaking, I used to have ADHD as well. So yeah, so although I am kind of cured from ADHD right now, I used to have these kind of extreme inattention. So like, you can really connect with these kind of thingies, right? You can really connect with these symptoms of ADHD. So this will only help you, like it really helped me, if you kind of connect these vocabulary words with your past experiences and like your past kind of conditions that you have gone through. It'll really help you to remember what ADHD is responsible for. And hyperactivity is when you really become superly active, right? All of a sudden, your kind of tension it gets really boosted in a really great sense. Then you become all kind of active and loud. All of a sudden, that's called hyperactivity, and it's also caused by ADHD. And impulsivity is really just as the word kind of tells you, you act based on your impulse, right? So just because you have a certain impulse that you want to shout out loud on the streets, you just start shouting out loud on the streets, even though there's no kind of legit reason to do so, right? And all of these symptoms are from ADHD. Yeah. And let's look at attitude. Attitudes are feelings that are often influenced by our beliefs that predispose us to respond in a particular way to objects, people, and events. So attitude is really similar to behavior, right? This is a vocab that I'm sure that you have encountered before. And attribution theory is a theory that we explain someone's behavior by crediting either the situation or the person's disposition. And audition is the sense of act or hearing. Audition. So when you have when you kind of apply for your school musical or like your school play, it goes through an audition, right? And although that audition and this version of audition is not really the same word, it's kind of easier for you to memorize what audition means in AP psychology terms, because when you're kind of applying for a drama production, you're kind of letting the director know that you're really acting and you're really speaking a voice in which the director can hear you, right? That's how you kind of get into the role of your kind of drama production. You get a role assigned, you kind of pass the audition. So acting and hearing are really two key parts of auditioning in drama terms, right? So also in AP psychology, audition is the sense of act or hearing. So although it kind of means some different kind of meanings, because they have the same kind of similar kind of definition and kind of like similar components that really comprise of the definition of audition, and also in AP psychology terms, it might be easier for you if you kind of like connect these kind of words with like other words that you already know, like, right? So through these kind of like wordplay tactics, it might be easier for you to kind of like, you know, memorize these words better. So this is just a tip that I used while taking the AP psychology exam. Okay, so let's end this video by talking about autism last. So autism is a disorder that appears in childhood and is marked by deficient communication, social interaction, and understanding of others' states of minds. So people who have autism, I have some friends who have autism, and then they usually kind of have a difficulty in communicating with people, and they're usually kind of not really socially active, right? They kind of have some difficulties in social interacting with people, and sometimes they do not understand like how others feel, how would the others feel at some moments of times. So yeah, so these things kind of happen a lot with your friends who have autism if they are around you. And I would like to end this video by telling you how autism is not really like a disorder, right? It's not something that's really bad. That is really detrimental, like to your like kind of like social networks, or like people who have autism. Just because they have autism, it doesn't really mean that they are somebody who really kind of like who really just like cannot understand you in purpose. It's not something like that, right? It's just like just like their mental kind of condition that makes them do so, right? So I would like to tell you to kind of emphasize with people who have autism, and just like try to be friends like normally as you would kind of befriend anyone who does not have autism, right? Because people who have autism, they have their own values, and they are actually really kind people who have autism. Because I have lots of friends who have autism, it's not really a bad thing to befriend someone who has autism, right? So I would like to tell you, don't be too afraid to kind of approach people with autism, because they are really nice people, and they are actually the same kind of people that you are, right? They are just the same. Okay, folks, this is the end of today's lecture, and I'll see you in the next video by talking about automatic processing and some more vocables. Thank you guys, and good luck with your studies. Goodbye.